the mobile Intel Pentium 4M processor. Now you're playing with
Fire!
So this laptop here made its debut on my channel within the past 2 videos. One is a cameo and the other, this was brought up 2 times. Well, here's my actual video on it that I wanted to make as a birthday special. So this is a Dell Latitude C640, made in the year 2003. It was introduced on July 11th, 2002. And so that was about 2 months before I was born. Well, you can see we've got an optical drive here and your battery. These laptops were known for their modular front bays. This one was modular, this one really just held a battery. And of course you got speakers. And actually, might want to talk a little bit about the laptop. Yeah, so this is your Dell Latitude C series body style. These body styles usually weren't very good, however this one actually seems to be pretty decent. I guess the C600s and the C610s were bad, but they might have gotten all that sorted out with the C640, which this one is. And I say this laptop's from 2003 because if you take a look at the manufacture date, it's within the Dell PPID here. You see 35U, that 3-digit part of the PPID is the manufacture date. 35 meaning May 2003. U meaning the 30th. This laptop was shipped on June 19th that year. Using this little release lever here, you can remove the optical drive, which this one is a DVD-ROM CDRW drive. So this is actually the good drive. This was the $250 option when this was new. Yeah. The last one of these drives I had was only a plain old CD-ROM drive, and it really didn't work. That was in the Inspiron 4000. The PPID is how I found out that my Latitude X200 was built in 2002 and not 2003, which that was the year it was shipped, but it was built in 2002. This over here says C540, C640 is really because they were literally the same laptop, only that the C540 was the Celeron version and the C640 was the one that came with the Pentium 4M. 500s had Celeron, 600 had Pentiums of some sort, depending on the generation. And you can see that the fan is exposed on these C6 series laptops. Like, you could pretty much stick your finger in there. It kind of does bother me a little bit, but these weren't designed to be handled by little kids who would stick their fingers in these. The right side has your right speaker, an infrared port, your headphone and microphone. You got the 56K modem and an Ethernet jack. And you got a TV out, which I believe can do composite and S-video. For composite, you would need some sort of adapter. I don't think this is new enough to do a component video. Then you got a vent here. And then let's move this to the back. We have a serial port. This is my only laptop or computer I have that has an integrated serial port on it. And parallel, we've also got the Dell docking station, which on the consumer version of this, the Inspiron 4150, the docking port would be disabled. And to enable that, you would have to flash a Latitude BIOS onto it, which is entirely possible, by the way. And then you have a fan. No, that can't be a fan. I have no idea what it is. Then we have a PS2 port for either keyboard or mouse. Only one USB port, 1.1. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough room to put 2 ports here. And then we've got our VGA port, and then the older style of Dell Power Jack, which is proprietary. And then this side, we have our dual PC card slots. Yeah. And then over here, we have our hard drive caddy, which slides down and then you can pull out. I don't have a screw in this case, so I can just easily pull out the hard drive. and yeah, this uses Dell's adapter, which I guess is only good to prevent pins from bending when not in the hard drive. And then we've got our left speaker. You can see how the Dell logo faces when it's closed. It's not upside down like it is on the D series, so when your laptop is open, the Dell logo is going to appear upside down. I may as well talk about how I got this laptop. So September 8th, 4 days ago, I took a trip to the thrift store. I wasn't originally intending on buying anything, but then I saw this laptop. It was $30, which was the same price as an Inspiron 1100 I found a few months prior, and also half the price of an IBM ThinkPad A31 I saw and really wanted, but unfortunately I couldn't get, which that was the reason I got my X200. And I really wanted to get this because I used to have a C610 when I was younger, and that was my very first laptop. And I was thinking, it's a C640. The exact model doesn't really matter. It's really just the case style that matters for a nostalgic laptop. And then it took very little convincing of my parents to get this. I mean, they said it was my money, I could get it. It was $30, so I went ahead and I got it. Now this laptop is actually in pretty nice shape for what it is, especially because it's a C series. The keyboard feels pretty tactile. I remember the fate of my C610 is that the keyboard broke. Like, what I mean is that keys just wouldn't respond. And then you can see the track point. This is not original. I took one of the D620 caps because the original one was just gross. Yeah, this is the C640's original cap. It was blue. It got pretty used, and yeah, it's just nasty. And this is probably the worst cat's tongue I've seen. IBM at least had them decent, but Dell's cat's tongues are just terrible. But then with the D620, they introduced a much nicer track point material, which my friend Ryan, he also did this with his C610. And then you can see with the trackpad buttons that the right click is a lot smaller than the left. Yeah, this laptop is actually in pretty nice shape. The keyboard is not really that worn. I mean, the screen, we'll get to that later because you might really want to see about the screen. And then we've got our stickers here. It's designed for Windows XP. You can see the XP sticker is really scratched up. I don't intend on removing that, even though it looks a bit stupid. And then the only one of these stickers I own, Intel Pentium 4M, which that's the mobile Pentium 4, not really the mobile Pentium 4, but more like it uses a mobile socket. Because the mobile Pentium 4 was really just a desktop Pentium 4, but with something like SpeedStep added to it. And then you can see Latitude here. It doesn't show what model numbers, like C640, because, again, this entire chassis was reused for the Celeron C540, which that was really the only difference, the CPU. The graphics were exactly the same on the C540. And you can see we got power button and access direct, which is really just a programmable key. And I think this actually looks nicer than the Inspirons that copied this. And as for the power supply, I took the one from my X200 because it uses the same connector, and it's 70 watts, which it of course will power this. You can see that the charging light is blinking on this, which means that the battery isn't really any good. But according to Battery Bar, it says that I can get about a little less than an hour out of the battery with 60% wear on it. At first I thought the battery didn't work at all. So let's go into the BIOS of this. And you can see that the screen is pretty small on this. On Latitude C series, this was very common. It wasn't a problem, but that was more like default. You press function F7 to fix that and blow it up to full screen. But I don't really feel like doing that. You can see here, yeah, September 12th, 2018, mobile Pentium 4 2 GHz. So this is the highest clocked configuration. System memory 1.5 gigabytes. Originally this had 512 megabytes in the form of two 256 sticks. You can see the L2 cache is 512K. Then the video controller, this is the good one. the ATI Radeon 7500 with 32 megabytes of video RAM. Then the audio controller, Crystal 4205, nothing special. Primary hard drive is 80 gigs, which I installed myself because originally this came with a 20 gigabyte hard drive, which I have right here. Yeah, this was a pretty small hard drive, and I wanted to have a little more room on this laptop, even though I probably don't need it. And apparently my light is pretty unstable. Yeah, so let's Alt-P to the next page. Boot order, stuff like that. Yeah, let's escape and boot into Windows. It's gonna boot into Windows XP Professional Service Pack 1, which I installed myself, of course. But you can see the mouse pointer on this is relatively small. Welcome to Windows. I'm just going to log in. This usually isn't the wallpaper that I have on it, but again, for a little birthday special, I put Sapphire Pearl as my wallpaper. And you can see that I have a relatively large cursor, because this actually has the high resolution screen on it. Because usually these would have 1024 by 768 screens. Not this one. This one has a resolution of 1400 by 1050. I have never had a 14-inch laptop with the high resolution screen like that before. Any laptop I had with that resolution was a 15-inch, and that was my old IBM ThinkPad A20P. And I don't really have much installed on this laptop because I've only had it for like 4 days. You can check the battery bar information. Yeah, that was 99.0, 60% battery wear. Yeah, this was the wallpaper I last had on it, but again, I wanted to make this a special occasion, so I put my favorite Pokemon ship here. And no, I'm not really a shipper, if you're wondering. I don't really have much here. I have Netgear software for my PC card. That's a Wi-Fi card. Power ISO, which is pretty redundant, but in case I need it. Then emulators. You can see here under Nintendo. This actually emulates Nintendo 64 perfectly. And then my uncle loaded this game onto a USB flash drive for me once in St. Aquarium. Nathaniel Bandy actually did a review on this game in St. Aquarium. I'm not going to play it, but I thought it was actually a pretty cool game. And wow, this actually carried over my information. Welcome back, GTP. That's some old information there. GTP was back when I was GameStunes Plus. And then I have SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, which I just installed that game. My X200 plays it pretty well, even though it only has an ultra-low voltage Pentium 3 and Intel extremely diabolical graphics. But this would also play good as well, of course. And then connect to Lake Sky, that's to connect to my main PC shares. Connect to Net Storage, that's to connect to my PowerEdge T310 server. Then Project 64, I guess this is where I'll load the Nintendo 64 emulators. I'm obviously not going to play it because I only have one hand to do so. But I can actually speed up sufficiently. I can run around and stuff. Yeah. I can run around the castle, do stuff. I mean, heck, I could probably even make Super Mario 64 bloopers with this if I wanted to. Although, I'd have to do so in 2007, 2008 style. Or even as far back as 2006. And anyway, I'm going to get out of that. And then we have Tweak UI, which every Windows XP install's got to have Tweak UI. Yeah. It's pretty useful stuff if you want to tweak it, but I haven't really seen a reason to tweak this yet, but in case I wanted to. And then errors, that's really just so I can play my exclamation sound over and over again. On my C610, I used to make fake errors all the time, and yeah, that's what I did on here. I wanted to recreate that a little bit. And then we've got GTA Vice City, which I had to go onto a third-party website since my play disc wouldn't work. Actually, it was a copy that I made because I don't have the legit play disc for it anymore. Here's Vice City. I can't exactly really play it because, again, I only have one hand, and it's insufficient to play GTA with only one hand, unless you're gonna really just drive around and do nothing else. And my battery's running low, how about that? So I couldn't see the recording. But we could just drive around if I only have one hand to do so. Just run people over, because why not? Well, Vice City, for some reason, it'll play on really any computer. Well, obviously not a certain few. Like, my X200 I don't think will play it. And I gotta get out of the car, it's gonna explode. I'm out of this game. I don't feel like playing it right now. I just wanted to show a quick demo. Greetings from Vice City. And then there's another one I downloaded, The Simpsons Hit and Run. I have this game on Xbox. I've played it a few times. It's auto-loading the last game I saved. We can resume the game. Lazy homework there. And apparently Itchy or Scratchy, whoever that is, he's gonna get blown up. Wait. Yeah, so I can press action, of course. The game, it's a little bit choppy here, but it's playable. Can press action, hopefully. Yeah. I don't think Bart's gonna annoy me anymore because I already went through his tips and tricks or whatever. Yeah. Drove to the Quickie Mart. Actually, I don't feel like playing this one anymore. I want to exit to Windows. And no, I don't want to save my game here. And I don't think there's really anything else worth showing. I mean, yeah, there's the Dell Solution Center, because I installed this from a Windows XP Service Pack 1A CD. That was from Dell. You see, we've got Movie Maker, Messenger, all your typical stuff. Under THQ, we've got SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom. We've got the Netgear wireless software. We got some of the games. We got Hyperbowl, which I don't want to make this video too long, even though it is a quick and simple game to play, so I guess I'll show that off. We'll move the track point to play it. Let's bowl. We'll just make about one run for it, and then we'll quit. We've got a split. So we'll just exit. And there's really nothing else I feel like showing off. Yeah, but I think this was a really nice find, this laptop here. I mean, it turned out being much nicer than I thought it would be. Because the specs were a total surprise, because I didn't know them when I got it because I didn't test it until I got home on the day I got it. And with the Pentium 4 CPU in here, yeah, it does get hot, but it actually doesn't perform as bad as I thought it would be. I'm guessing because it's a 2 gigahertz. I'd imagine it would be worse with a 1.6, although B. Westlife said that his 1.6 and his ThinkPad A31 wasn't bad either. So that was the video on my newly acquired Dell Latitude C640. So now I gotta spend some time with my newly acquired beautiful girl, or newly for the third time, my IBM ThinkPad T40 that I just got back today, and actually just made a video on before this.